Alrighty guys, so I was thinking about making a video because I haven't made one in a little bit, and I just wanted to make a quick video on, filtering leads pretty fast because I know that especially if you're a small agency owner and you have maybe like it's just you or you have like a couple of VAs or something like that, filtering like hundreds of leads a day, especially if you're really trying to ramp up sales, can be pretty difficult. So I'm just going to show you the exact strategy I use to like filter leads. So what I do is I use D7 Lead Finder, and I have a couple of videos on using D7 Lead Finder, but all you do is you just log in and you just look for leads in your area. Now I have my one of my VAs do this, so I don't have to do this, thankfully, because that would just eat up a lot of time. But if you were to do it yourself, you just get the leads and then you upload them to a Drive folder. I have a lot of them based off of states. What I wanted to share with you is, like, for instance, we have plumbers in Raleigh, North Carolina. All of this stuff is useless. I usually just care about everything up to column M. All I really care about is the leads that are actually in Raleigh or that are not in that area. Because, for instance, you don't have time to look around all these different cities and see which ones are actually, like, near your target area. So what you can do is you can just sort by A to Z, look for your city and your target area. So in my case it would be Raleigh, so we would just only select Raleigh, and then we would paste this stuff in here. And if you have a lot of leads, or if you don't have a lot of leads, you can also paste in the leads that are unidentified in terms of like exact city. So you can just base this off of the address, so you can see, okay, over here we have Raleigh, 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 so these are probably all in Raleigh, right? And now this way we've already filtered from 212 leads, because you have to subtract 1 from here, because that's where your top footer is, to about 108 or 106 leads. So you can see that's already 100 leads filtered out. Makes life a lot easier, because if you just send this into like Mixmax, or I use SmartReach, you're gonna get penalized like crazy. You're gonna get shit for it, because you're gonna be sending dozens of dead emails. You're gonna get a lot of people that aren't even plumbers or in Raleigh. So this already just does a good chunk of the work, and honestly you could stop with this. But what I do is I go a step further, and I just have my VA click on every single site, make sure that if it's dead, just leave a red on it. So as you can see over here, we have something called filtering. And if it's dead, I'll show you what it looks like normally, because it's a little bit different than that. Okay, never mind. I won't show you exactly, because then I would undo this portion. But essentially, this is at the top, and my VA will just go through these sites that are dead. Right? You can see 404 not found. This is not can't be loaded. Right? So these are all dead sites. If I send them emails, I'm gonna get penalized. Or not Google, but mail servers are gonna be unhappy. So what I do is I put an X next to all of the red ones, so this way I can sort A to Z, and then I'll get all the red ones at the top. I'll just either delete them all outright, or I'll go to just select the good ones here into finalized. And honestly, you could send, if you're really like just trying to crank numbers out, you can just do this and you should be good to go. You might get a couple of emails that will bounce. You might get a few people that are angry and saying, hey, we're not actually this XYZ industry. But for the most part, you're going to be much better off than if you just upload this and then start blasting people. That's what I was doing about a year ago, and it was horrible. So even honestly, as long as really, it's just a dead sites. Like if you just go for dead sites, get rid of them, you're going to be good to go. A step further, again, we're all about being effective and managing our time right, because we can't sit here all day and just try and make sure that every lead is good. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to hyper target every lead, and now there is a debate in the sales community as to whether you should just pump for numbers or go for quality. I think obviously quality is much better, but when you have automation, you can just pump out a bunch of like solicitations, and you will eventually get a couple to bite. If we were cold calling them, yeah, I'd want to vet them out a little bit beforehand, because that involves me actually speaking with them and stuff like that. I don't cold call anymore. I've had some videos with it. It's just me. Like, I have done it. I have gotten to the point where I felt comfortable, picking up the phone, trying to like solicit an audit and stuff like that. And so that was more for me to conquer my anxiety fear. I think I did an okay job. It's just that I knew it wasn't really working as much as this strategy does. It's just me. So the next thing that you can do is, if you're, for instance, going after a plumbing company, I noticed that a lot of supply companies end up here. So maybe it'll be in this accountant's one. So if we look at, for instance, planning. Okay, so it's not here. But if we go, for instance, into plumbers and we look at supply, if we look at Carolina Plumbing Supply, right, they're probably not an HVAC company, right? You can see they're doing a bunch of other stuff. They're probably not the right solicitation. So this is where having a good niche and knowing your niche, even a little bit, is so much better than just targeting any random Joe Schmo. So what I always do is I'll look, once I'm at the finalized stage, look at supply. I already filtered them out, but if we were here, like supply, right? Okay, I don't want to hit up any supply companies. I just want plumbers. Then what I'll do is I'll look at the name, and if any of them looks really odd, like Carolina Design Construction, okay, that looks more like a general contracting firm, not just a plumbing company. So they do different like construction work. They get about 92 users a month. So you know what? I would still probably hit them up. But you know what? It doesn't seem like they're pushing commercial plumbing as much as maybe other services. So I would delete them. And so that's kind of the idea, right? So you want to just look through each individual, or not each individual lead, but you want to go through just eyeballing like TC Router and plumbing. This looks good. Just want to see if there's anything else that's like, sticking out that's like, oh, this is not it. So this looks like home inspections, so it doesn't look like this is a plumbing company, and it's been built on Wix, so we're going to delete that. That guy, property manager, right? Property maintenance, services. We would probably keep them. So that's the idea. And then once you're done with that, you just download these into a CSV. Or actually what you would do then is, I always delete all of this. This is pretty much always useless to me. And then from there, what you would do is look up plumbers, Raleigh, North Carolina, and you'll see this is searched about 150 times a month. It has a pretty good keyword difficulty. It's not actually outrageous, which is nice. So we'll do target keyword, potential traffic, or we could just do volume, C1 name, C1, C2, C3. Plumbers in Raleigh, North Carolina. You don't want to use exact like, oh, this, like plumbers Raleigh, North Carolina doesn't sound, when you read that on an email, you want it to be coherent. So plumbers in Raleigh, and then make a little bit of an adjustment when you do the audit. That's what I've learned. And over here, I would just look at, is this site in Raleigh, North Carolina, or is it in somewhere else? So I would look up Raleigh, North Carolina, right? So okay, so they are, and you don't really have, again, you don't have to do this for every single one. Just kind of generally like take a scan it. It's more of like scanning rather than actually doing individual leads, solutions, right? So this doesn't look like a plumbing company, so you can delete that. I don't think this is either. And the reason why you want to do this is just because you don't want to obviously solicit companies that are not even, interested in your service, because they're not even that industry that you're targeting. It just looks silly and it looks unprofessional, and it can hurt your reputation. So it's better to be on the safer side of like, okay, yeah, these leads are good, than to be just recklessly sending leads or emails to everybody, right? You don't want to kind of damage your image purposefully, if you can avoid it. And this is a pretty easy way to avoid it. So you can see, we'll look at the first couple of leads, or the first couple of results. All right, William Parrish Plumbing Company, right? And then always paste the domain without the HTTP and everything like that, just to see if it comes up. And as you can see, it does come up here, so we'll delete that, because then you'll be sending an email to them and they'll be like, well, I'm already ranked #1, you already just said my name, so it would look a little silly. And I know we deleted these guys, double check, right? And let's see, CK's Plumbing, once again. All right, so we have one result over here, delete that. And we'll just copy and paste this all the way down. And there you go. Now you have a nice lead list. I have about 62 leads, so we originally had about 200. And we narrowed it down to about 60 leads. If I send this email out, I'll probably have about maybe 2 or 3 that will bounce, and maybe 1 or 2 that are just not plumbing. And the rest will be plumbing companies that are active, that will check their email. You can go a step further if you really want and verify all these emails. There are email verification tools. Originally, I was doing that with one of my VAs. I learned that it didn't work as effectively as, say, just blasting them and then accepting a couple of bounces. Because, again, at the end of the day, especially when you're growing your agency, it's important to just go after like numbers more so than hyper targeting things. When you have a couple of bucks to spare, you can hyper target, and even then, like, you don't need to worry about maybe 4 or 5 emails bouncing. You know, as long as you get 1 or 2 good emails and you can send out like maybe 5 audits a month and you get 1 sale from that and maybe $1,000, right? That's going to cover your expenses for doing like a couple of maybe 20-30 minutes a day emailing people. And again, you can send about 100 to 200 emails a day and you will probably be on the safe side. So I hope this video helps you guys out with your lead generation, because I know that lead generation takes up a lot of time. There's not really a whole lot of content on exactly what needs to be done with lead filtering and everything. So I hope this guide helps you kind of solidify your understanding of how you can be more effective with your time and effectively filter out leads. So that being said, if you enjoy these types of videos, be sure to subscribe and leave a like, and I'll see you guys in my next video.